Hello all and welcome back to High Ridge Farm with me, the Walrus. We've now entered into summer of day 1 of year 2. Now this is all kinds of exciting here as we can finally obtain that blasted red cabbage. And the farm does need a fair old bit of clearing up, unfortunately. As you can see, we've got dead crops from the beginnings of, from the end of spring. And it's just going to be a bit of a mess. So we need to scythe our way through all of this. I think repositioning a couple of these sprinklers and putting in some of the better iridium quality sprinklers is probably a very sensible shout. And of course, resorting out fertilizing areas, because we need half decent fertilized crops, don't we? If we want decent stuff. Now, of course, I do have some of the increased speed grow gubbins, fertilizer type thing, because I'm going to use that on some of the red cabbage, because I'm not as concerned about the quality of the red cabbage, it's more that getting it faster, please. And I believe that it does give a 25% speed boost, which is good. There it is. I'm going to grab some of that deluxe speed grow. Let's grab a little bit, just so we can have a little bit of quicker growth. Okay, so it's so in some fertilizer. Let's get some sunflowers growing, not spring seeds, because that'd be stupid. But we're going to get this area all nice and organised. Hoe this bit of ground up. That was stupid. Oh well, I'm mashed. We'll sort out the lamppost later. Right, let's clear some land and be ready. Now, I will freely admit that I do want to end up putting the barns next to the house rather than their current more scattered locations throughout the farm. So I'm trying to figure out where is going to be the next most appropriate area to turn into crop growth. Of course, I'd rather have larger areas of land that are more accessible, so I can do decent growing patterns and crop yields, because that's going to be important. And well, we're going to have to see how well that goes. Let's see. Let's plonk down the iridium sprinkler here, because that'll give it a good bit of extra distance, and that's kind of what we're after here. Hoe that up. Excellent. And we'll just hoe this strip here as well. And we'll fertilise it, because we've got a lot of fertiliser from earlier in the year. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, it's very important to have better quality crops. Well, more so for if I was going to sell them right away. Turning them into wines and such, not so much use. So I'm kind of wondering if it might be more prudent in the greenhouse to replace the soil with speed grow for an increased growth of those star fruit, which are going to be turned into wine. Maybe that's a more efficient way of doing things, because a 25% increased growth speed on something that takes however long a star fruit takes, which I don't think is that long, probably is quite handy, really, thinking about it. So maybe that's something I should have a look into doing. I might do a small patch of it just to test it. I mean, I assume it does the same. Goodness knows, though. Right, now, this area here of land, that's going to be also a little bit more irrigated by the iridium sprinkler. And there we go, that's lovely. And we're going to plant some of these summer seeds here, so I don't really need to fertilise the ground. I could, but I don't need to, because I think I'll be harvesting them at iridium quality regardless, thanks to the joys of some of the perks that I have. So we're going to grab some of those. Now, I am aware that I haven't actually got an apple tree in here. That might be something I need. But then again, I do have a couple of apple trees and a reasonable amount of them already. So maybe not. We'll see, though. Right, look at all these dead crops. So this area is going to have to be reorganised and redistributed again. Not the end of the world, but I'm going to purchase a lot of additional crops. Now, one of the things I would like to experiment with is going to be getting some more wheat, because I believe that wheat does have the secondary advantage of producing hay when you harvest it, which will give me a double use, because I can turn the wheat into flour, I can turn it into beer, but I can also then use it to feed the animals, and I think that would probably be quite a prudent decision on my part there. Of course, we've got all these random bits of fruit here, which I'm going to just put star fruit back in here to turn into wine, and we'll grab that one. Come on. There we go. So you've refilled the kegs there. So to make more kegs, I need more iron, oak resin, and wood, as well as copper bars. But the issue I've got really is actually the oak resin, because I've only got 6 trees that can produce it. So that's going to be something that I'm going to have to think about a little bit more carefully in the future, isn't it? Really honestly thinking about it. But anyway, some lava here. Oh, they want an iridium bar. Okay, I think I've actually got one. That shouldn't be too much of a problem. They're feeling fine. Excellent. So we're just going to grab some of these crab pots by accident. But the fish out of them is actually quite helpful, because I can either turn that into more fertilizer, sashimi, or use them in some of the food recipes like the escargot and other such things. Now that definitely one that I'm not going to try and do, because there's no way in heck am I going to try and cook snails. Mostly because they're very difficult to get here in the UK. As in, I've never seen them. Like, never even in any more reputable, ridiculously over-the-top stores. Like, genuinely, I've searched Waitrose, I've searched Marks and Spencer's, I've even had a look in oh goodness gracious, some of the more esoteric places, like your more the local fishmonger sort of thing, because I'm assuming aquatic snails are probably a thing, but I'm wild stabbing that up. But maybe they're not very commonly seen in the UK at all. I wonder if there's any restrictions on sale of them. All the same, no. I've had snails before, not my jam. And as I mentioned with that, I'm planning on doing some with the next video, I think. Will be the next one where I actually do some ridiculous cooking. As I need to thoroughly deep clean the kitchen, make sure it's all presentable. I mean, it's clean, it's just I would like to make it more clean. Because if there's any risk of my house being on camera, I'd rather that be taken care of. Thank you very much. Mostly because I'm nervous about the presentation of my own home, which I think is reasonable. Not everybody expects to have their house appear and then be, well, critiqued. Thankfully, it would only be parts of my kitchen. My hands as well. Now, let's us see. I'm heading into the store. It's 3 PM now. I've faffed quite a lot today, actually, to be fair. Which is understandable, considering the amount of work that I've had to do there. Okay, we're stumbling in on a Shane, Emily, and Clint skit. And I think this is a Shane friendship one. And Clint balks it up because, well, he's got such a crush on Emily but doesn't want to say anything about it. Oh goodness. Ah, hello. It is I, the Walrus. I mean, fair enough that Shane's acquired himself a camera, but he does still look very scruffy, doesn't he? I can kind of get it though. It's a difficult thing when you're finding it difficult to not cope, but like live as would be better. Okay. I love how ridiculous that Clint is with this advert, because everything he's describing just sounds so grim. Like, Joja Blue does not cause significant erosion of the stomach lining. That sounds so gross. And the sort of... That's Nuka-Cola levels of advertising. From Fallout. That's so ridiculous. And... I think he turns blue now, doesn't he? Yeah, there he goes. Which is amusing because there's one of those sort of urban legend things about like a girl who turned bright yellow from drinking too much Sunny Delight when I was a kid. I know full well that doesn't actually happen, so it's still a funny thing though. And have some cheese, Leah. You found some wild fruits this morning. Oh, that's a shame. I'm about to do the same. I'm going to go foraging because I need to get some grapes. Right, so let's get a nice selection of maybe 100 wheat, because it's very cheap. That's one of the other advantages of wheat is it's cheap, and you can turn it into reasonably profitable beer very quickly for little effort, which is good. It takes 4 days for the production of the wheat, and then I think about another 7 or 8, or was it maybe shorter actually for the for fermenting beer in kegs. I think wine is a week. Beer might be less. Not sure how long though. We'll see. Anyway, so we've also got other things like the mead and the pale ales, which I think I should be able to start growing this season because I do have access to the hops, which are very useful and something that I should probably deal with because I haven't got much in the way of that. I haven't got any hops really, but hey ho, we'll see. Now, okay, I've given Mario some gifts already. Fine and dandy. Who else? I have a sweet pea. That's lovely for you, Evelyn. And I don't think anyone particularly likes fish roe, preserved roe at least. Now, where is the mayor? It's got to be around here somewhere. Ooh. Okay, paleontologist, pieces of bone or omelette. Let's do the omelette one. So that's going to use up all my eggs for a few days, but I think 24 eggs isn't really that hard to do, and certainly a lot more feasible than some of the challenges. Like the bone one is a bit of a pain, only because the end result thing is really useful. Genuinely really handy. The bone mill is really good, allowing you to turn it in like bones into fertilizer. But the problem I've got is getting a hold of all of the skeletal bits, because unless you're on Ginger Island and have access to it, where bone fragments drop all over the damn show, it's a bit of a pain. So I'll live. We'll see, though. Okay, now let's have a look then. So we've got a bunch of plants that we're going to need to sow and see, aren't we? More than anything. So once we've done that, we should being the operative time, word even, be able to get everything ready. So we're going to plant some red cabbage, of which some of them I'm just going to store away in one of the fridges I've got, because that would be useful. Because they are used in, I think, one of the salad recipes, the red salad or something, which I totally understand, because coleslaw with red cabbage is slightly more interesting and has a different flavour. Not by much, but it has a slightly different flavour. But yeah, we'll see on that one. The other thing that I would like to do is doing the Pierre's produce one, where he gets 25 quality vegetables. And I have not seen that one pop up again recently, sadly. But if it does, that'd be a good one to have, I think. And then, of course, there's also the hardwood one that you can get from Robin, which gives you a bed, I think, which is quite nice. So, Let's quickly slap down one of these here. We're going to hoe up this area of land as well. And I'm going to just do it like this, just so I make sure I don't go too far off the wrong way, essentially. Now, I've still got all the clay, which is good. Any more of that would be handy, of course. Now, unfortunately, it is up against this wall, which is preventing me from having it in a better position, really, sadly. Okay, so let's plant some crops. We're going to have some radishes. That'd be lovely. Oh, I still need to do the beets thing, don't I? So I need to visit the desert again. Because beets are going to be a thing that I need to put in to wind up Lewis, if memory serves. And that would be good to get more Mr. Key quests done. Right, let's plonk this here. Put down the stand quality sprinkler on the thingy, please. That would be good. Oh, flipping heck, I've missed again. I'm so good at this. Right, anyway. So, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to hoe that up. And I'm going to plant some summer spangles here, methinks. That'd be nice. The poppies I'm going to use as poppy seed muffins because, as mentioned previously by another one of my commenters, greatly appreciated on that one actually for how useful they actually can be. I don't think I've actually got the recipe for it though, which is the shame. But all the same, it'll be useful more than anything. Okay, so we're going to just hoe up a little bit more land here and there. Excellent. And going to water it all as well and just slap a bunch of quality fertilizer on the land just so it's ready. And that's kind of the big thing, is getting the land ready and usable, because the more land that's available to be used means that the more crops that I can grow, and that's the biggest thing, isn't it? It's just being able to cycle that through. So I've got a load of poppies that I'd like to have growing. I've got some more radishes, I've got some more corn, I've got wheat, all sorts of things. And corn is one of those ones that I remember as a kid going into one of my neighbours growing up. His family had a farm. I think it was his uncle's, and I was fortunate enough to go and visit it. And just walking through fields of corn as a 6-7-year-old was amazing, because they're enormous. Admittedly, I wasn't a very large child, so that might have had something to do with it. But also, I was 6. So, all the same, it felt impressive at the time. And that's something that was, a little bit of a, not formative memory, but it's a memory of mine as a child. Which I will freely admit I don't have many of. I can't remember much of my childhood, which I guess is kind of a disappointment in some ways. But it's not going to kill me not remembering much of my childhood. Righty, so let's plant a lot of corn and, wheat even here. That'll be good. So we're going to need to water all this up, aren't we? Okay, so let's see about hoeing up some land here. Oh, goodness gracious, it's getting late. Okay, so it's midnight. I've still got some time. I can still get stuff done. So we should probably plant some more wheat, because that's going to be a real main focus for me at the moment in regards to being able to grow more of it quickly and having the potential for the additional hay, which is something that is very helpful right now and very much needed, because I'm aware that I don't have much, and if the animals keep eating all of the grass before it can be before it can spread further, it's going to cause me problems. And I do want the animals to be able to be fed, because shockingly enough, animals that aren't fed lose happiness and they don't produce. And non-producing animals, not helpful. It's almost like that's something you need. Right, it's 1:30, so I'm not going to be able to water all those crops in time, so I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to let the sprinkler water them in the morning. So that'll just be done. No worries on that one. So we made 27k, sorry, 26,000k, 26k even, blah, 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 money, which is good, and that will give me a half decent amount of stuff. There we go, so those. I might just smash those pots open and just reposition them. So I know I've got a few here that probably could reposition. There we go, lovely. So I've got tomatoes, blueberries, so I'm going to need to grow a few of those. Essentially, the plants that I want to have growing in the house are only ones that have a constant production. So the cacti, the strawberries, stuff that I can just water and leave and not have to worry about re-sowing and redoing and faff. Because that's just work and effort, and I can't be bothered with that. So there we go, put some fertilizer in those, lovely, and we'll put some strawberry seeds in those as well. There we go, so let's choose some strawberry seeds. I might also plant some hops. That's probably a good idea, actually. There we go, hops planted. That looks ridiculous, but that's just how this rolls. Now, in the kitchen, I've got my coffee bean plants here that are slowly growing away. Lovely. And I'm going to need to move that keg at some point, aren't I? Oh, well. Right. Let's double check and see what other things do I have. Bean hot pot. Might be quite useful to have, actually. The magnetism's actually really handy, generally speaking, being able to increase your magnetic range. Especially when you're doing mining. So if I go to the desert, or if I go into the mines at any point soon, I'll want to use one of those. There are a couple of other things I could use for it. Trying to remember what the other ones are. Anything that improves your mining skill, because I think that does affect how many nuggets you get out of ore deposits. So that'd be useful, particularly for iridium. More than anything. Right, so we've got ourselves some more bait. Unfortunately, there's no major fish to worry about at the moment, but at the same time, I think the octopus is available during the summer, and that's quite a useful one to catch. Even if I can only get the one, it'll be something useful, because then I can throw it in a pool and have it slowly but surely essentially create more, which is kind of handy. Maybe not the most useful in the world. I can't remember what they actually even generate. I think they have a chance of generating the ink, but that wouldn't make sense because octopi don't have ink sacs. Is that only squid? No, octopi might. Oh, I'm not sure. I'll need to have a good think about that one later on. But anyway, I'm pretty sure that they don't produce ink. I'm pretty sure they give gold, if memory serves, which is useful, I guess. Not the most useful, but it's useful all the same. Okay, so we're going to quickly go and harvest all of this lovely cheese, which will be useful. And work our way through. Okay, so we've got some more truffles. We've got some other miscellaneous gubbins. Meh. Stuff and things, you know. Now, I do need all of those eggs. That's the tricksy bit. So, I'm going to have to sell some stuff. Reorganize the inventory. Because then I can just plonk those eggs right in Gus's fridge. Now, I'm trying to remember what the actual reward is from Gus for completing the giant omelette. And now, I've never had an omelette of a mixture of eggs before. Only rarely do I ever use anything that isn't a chicken egg. I've used duck eggs maybe once. And they're okay. So maybe... just maybe, it would taste really bizarre. Because, well, different animals, different tastes. Surely. And especially what a void chicken. What on earth is that going to taste like? Like, I mean, the fact that void mayonnaise and void eggs, I think, lower your energy rather than restore it. So that's not a good sign, is it? So goodness knows what they actually taste like. I mean, accidentally eating some of the void mayonnaise, I remember seeing poor Walrus having a bit of a I don't feel well moment. So maybe they're really grim? Don't know. But mixing duck and chicken eggs doesn't seem like a particularly good idea, I think is a thing. Not sure if it's like it'll do anything particularly weird to the flavour, but I don't think it'll be quite as good. Don't know. It's beyond my field of expertise, I'm afraid. Much beyond my ken. Okay. Anyway, so we're going to just put these lovely things away. And prepare to take the eggs away to Gus's fridge. And that's kind of the main thing on that one, isn't it? Just being able to do that. Now, if memory serves, when I was saying about the octopi, they are available to catch in the morning, if memory serves, during the summer. So that's going to be reasonably easy, I guess. I think. Maybe. Either way, I'm going to try and get one. Because they'll be helpful. More than anything. And that's kind of what I'm after. I don't know what how good the roe are. No idea. Either way, it's going to be a thing. So I'm going to try and do it. And catch those and use them. It's the same as, like, I'm not sure what some of the other ones are so useful for. So, like, things like the ice pipfish, and there's lots of different quality crops available. Sorry, not crops. Qualities of fish. Right, the roe all has different inherent values and yada yada yada. Curious to see how much they all are worth. I mean, I know that Super Cucumber Roe, I think, is the most valuable, other than caviar. Because caviar, like the Sturgeon Roe, has its own specific value, which is quite handy. I think. But again, it depends on the value of the roe itself. So, no idea. Anyway. We'll see. Now, let's have a think. Lots of other different fish to work on, at least for the time being. And lots of other, there we go, so the iridium bar to the lava eels. Now, I think I wanted the lava eels predominantly for the opportunity of getting the, what are they called? The geodes, the lava geodes. Because that's quite handy. More than anything. Just generally speaking, at least. Because magma geodes have a good chance of dropping useful gubbins, shockingly enough. Right, let's have a look then. So I need to got 24 eggs, and then I need to pop them. So I need to get 24, and then I need to pop them all in the fridge. Not too difficult, I don't think. Okay, let's have a look. And let's have a look, see then. So I'm going to sneak past, pop them in the fridge. So we're going to put a couple of duck eggs, some other voyage eggs, and a dinosaur egg. Yeah, there we go, a dinosaur egg. Just add that to the flavour mix. I mean, they're lizards. What on earth will that taste like? Like, aren't most terrestrial lizards, like, they lay leathery eggs? Not shelled eggs like a chicken. The dinosaurs are ancestrally birds, aren't, well, ancestors of birds. So maybe they lay shelled eggs like... I mean, they have been preserved, haven't they? Goodness. What does a dinosaur taste like? What on earth would their eggs taste like? Well, yeah, I'm confused. Doesn't take much, but, you know, when you get the spiral of what on earth is going on? It's just the way, at least. Anyway. So, we're going to just smash open that geode, and I'm going to hand over a gold bar to Clint. Happy birthday, Clint. No, it's not actually a birthday, but have a nice bar of gold. Well, that's nice to know that you've managed to find something that will make your life easier. Although the jar opening tools and things that I've seen in the past, like usually one of the things is a gripper. Well, I used to have one that was shaped like a sunflower, but I didn't use it for opening jars. I used it when I used to shoot a bow. I haven't done so for quite a while, but when you get the arrow firmly lodged in the boss, it's quite difficult to remove. So, getting a better grip on it, being that it's made of steel, you need to really have a good tug on it. So, actually being able to pull it out by getting a much better grip with this dandelion-shaped grippy thing, really useful, actually. Okay, so Robin's not in there, neither is Demetrius. Okay. That's somewhat frustrating. Ah, grapes. I need some of those. Need to give those to George. Right, okay. Well, let's grab those grapes. Yeah, I thought it was George. Okay, so we're probably best to head into town back past through the farm. Means I've got a chance to drop everything else off. I don't think he locks up and goes to bed at an early time. But at the same time, routines are weird. We'll see, at least, anyway. Right. Okay, so let's keep on going and back through into the town and see what people want to do. Well, handing over some stuff to George would be good because that'll improve friendship with George. I know that's a friendship that I haven't got particularly high as yet, I think. But we'll see. And trying to think of other things that I can hand over to people. Let's see. Is Caroline in here? I really need to start working on Caroline. She's not in this house because that's not where she lives. That's Jodie's house. But I really need to start working on Caroline for general reputation with her. And I have a sneaking suspicion there's a flower she likes, but I can't remember which one it is. I know it's not poppies. I'm not going to try that, but I think I will try growing the flowers that are available to me currently, which unfortunately are sunflowers and poppies and summer spangles. I might try the spangle first. I know that's also one that I've planted in front of the beehives area, so I might get some more of those, just because they're nice flowers. I like having flowers generally, just because they're nice. But, hey, that's just how things go. Now, let's have a look. It's 10 beats inside Mayor Lewis's fridge. I can't remember what the next quest in that chain is. That's going to be the next thing, is what's the next quest in that, Mr. Key, in your strange nonsense? Let's have a think. I wonder. I do really wonder what it could actually be that's quite helpful. More than anything. We'll have to have a think. And actually, generally, having a useful musing on what's available. Okay, so we're going to head back to the farm. I'm going to cut this tree down just because it's there. Its presence annoys me. Also, the wood is useful because I know I'm going to need a lot more coal, so I'm probably going to have to turn it into charcoal and burn in stuff and things, you know, like that. All the same. Right, so alamite and stone. So those are going to get just flung into the chests as they go. Yeah, I've only got 5 coal. Not much left. Well, let's only give myself 1 left over. It's still good. It's just I need the copper on a not quite industrial scale, but I really need the copper. Particularly if I'm going to make all of the things that I want to. Including crab pots, because I want to have some of those out on the sea rather than just in the river here. So, gonna have to have a think. So I'm gonna chuck the grapes in there. Sweet peas, well, not really that useful. Oh, I've got those monster loot things, so let's pop those away. Because I'm gonna need to get some more iridium so I can make the iridium bands. Which I really want. That's the big thing. I'd like to have the iridium bands more than anything. Because they'll be very helpful. I think that's probably the easiest way of describing it. They'll be very useful. Okay. So we're going to put the truffles in here. It's nice that the house is much larger. It does feel better. As a general sort of thing. I know I need to upgrade the house with the cellar to allow me to add the preserve jar. Not the preserve jars, but the aging casks. And the casks themselves are an interesting one anyway. Because they do, of course, give you different... well, they upgrade your quality of your fruit, wines, beer, mead, and cheese. And really, it's quite a dramatic amount. I mean, it doubles its value, generally. I think aging it from base quality does quite well. So things like beer and pale ales, which aren't that expensive. I mean, I think they're only like a couple of hundred their sell value for. But they'll give you quite a bit more for it. But for wine, especially starfruit and ancient fruit wines, yeah, that's where the money is. So I'm going to need lots of casks, but I do know painfully that wine takes the longest to age, as compared to, well, anything else. So it's only really desirable for the most valuable products. Unlike, I mean, the beer and the ale is fair enough, not the end of the world, but it's not that useful, really. Okay, so we're going to grab ourselves the starfruit wine from here. So that's another, it's a good 10 starfruit wine, so that's another chunk of money there. Because at the moment, even just selling starfruit wine as it is, it's valuable stuff. It's not like it's unvaluable. Unvaluable, that's some good wording there, isn't it? I think it's How is the wine calculated? I think it's something like 3 times based cost of fruit or something, and of course because it doesn't matter if it's a better quality fruit, it doesn't really affect that. But anyway, before I start going rambling on about more weird wine stuff, I think that's very much going to wrap up for this evening. So if you've enjoyed, please do like and subscribe. Share it with friends and family who you'd like to see who would enjoy my ridiculous ramblings. And I hope to catch you again on the next time Walrus Plays. Catch you then.